Happy Thursday evening. I'm Riley King, and welcome to this Thursday evening edition of the Riley King Newscast, right here on the Riley King Network. Let's begin. First up, we begin with COVID-19 updates. The latest COVID-19 data information for New Hampshire. Let's take a look at that right now. And here is a look at that information for all of you right now. There are 7,814 number of people in New Hampshire who have tested positive for COVID-19. There are 6,657,900 number of people in the United States who have tested positive. There are 438 number of deaths from COVID-19 in New Hampshire. There are 725 number of people who have been hospitalized with COVID-19 in New Hampshire. There's 397 number of deaths from COVID-19 in the United States. And let's take a look at this current map of New Hampshire where current cases of COVID-19 are. Manchester, 32. And let's take a look at this total map of New Hampshire where total cases of COVID-19 are. Manchester, 204. And now let's take a look at these three charts here. Let's start with the first chart here. New cases each day in New Hampshire in the purple, daily new positive COVID-19 cases. In the orange, new hospitalizations, and in the red are the deaths. And let's take a look at this chart here, current cases. In the purple, total current COVID-19 cases, and in the orange, current hospitalizations. And let's take a look at this chart here, total cases. In the purple, total positive COVID-19 cases. In the orange, total hospitalizations, red deaths, and blue recovered. And let's take a look at this chart here, age group of cases, female and male of cases, and risk information. And let's take a look at this chart here, infections, hospitalizations, and deaths. And let's take a look at this chart here, deaths, percent of New Hampshire population, race/ethnicity of cases, and hospitalizations. And a reminder, your common symptoms: fever, lack of smell, cough, difficult breathing, chills, nausea, vomiting, and diarrhea. How it spreads, and prevention tips. And be sure to stay with the Riley King Network for the latest of your COVID-19 information. Increased testing at New Hampshire colleges has led to daily uptick in cases, but it isn't surge, officials say. There have been 7,814 known coronavirus cases in New Hampshire, officials say. New Hampshire's COVID-19 testing capacity has surged thanks in large part to thousands of testing being done daily at the University of New Hampshire, health officials said Thursday. Health officials said the number of cases of COVID-19 remains low, even as the number of new cases each day has ticked up from an average of about 20 per day to closer to 35. Officials said infections caught by school and college tests are largely responsible for the increase. Chan said the increased number of daily cases does not represent a new surge in COVID-19, but just reflects the testing. He said the case numbers are expected to go up and down, but if the state sees signs of acceleration growth in cases, that would represent a true surge. Governor Chris Sununu said New Hampshire has been averaging between 3,000 to 4,000 tests per day, but once the UNH tests are added in, the average will be about 7,000 to 8,000. Dr. Benjamin Chan, the state epidemiologist, said about 1% or less of COVID-19 tests have been coming back positive, which shows the coronavirus is being kept mostly in check. When the UNH tests are added to the test total, the percentage will drop below 1%, he said. COVID-19 numbers released by the state have included the number of positive cases that have been discovered by UNH tests, but the number of tests done have not yet been fully included in the state's totals. Those figures should be added to once released by the Department of Health and Human Services soon, Sununu said. It doesn't mean the number of kids testing positive for COVID-19 is going to be zero, Sununu said. No one's ever planned for that. That would be unrealistic, but it can all be managed by the very protective and aggressive testing protocols we put in place. They have done a very good job of isolating those students before they've even gotten into a situation that would allow them to spread or transmit the virus. There were 35 new cases of COVID-19 announced Thursday, bringing the state's total to 7,814 over the course of the pandemic. 2 more hospitalizations were announced, and health officials said 725 Granite Staters have been hospitalized over the course of the pandemic. 7 people are currently hospitalized. No new deaths were announced Thursday. Health officials said 438 Granite Staters have died of COVID-19 since the pandemic began. First Lady Melania Trump visits Concord Hospital for roundtable event. First Lady joined by on DCP director at event. First Lady Melania Trump visited Concord Hospital on Thursday to highlight its treatment program for babies born with non-total Epstein syndrome. The First Lady first toured the hospital, learning more about the program from hospital staff. She later held a roundtable event with Jim Carroll, the director of the White House Office of National Drug Control Policy, and hospital staff members. The First Lady's Twitter account said the visit is in honor of the National Recovery Month. Area expecting severe drought in New Hampshire jumps from 28% to 72% of state. Some towns impose water restrictions. Let's take a listen to that video from WNUR News 9.
Chapel Tractor has been in our family since 1955, when great-grandfather Pearlie and our grandfather George decided to...
I've never seen, and we farm along the Merrimack River, I have never ever seen the Merrimack River as low in my lifetime.
And that is borne out by the state's latest drought map, which is based on lake, river, and stream levels.
We're now at over 70% in D2, which is severe drought across the state. It's extended across central and into northern New Hampshire.
The state is continuing to urge water districts to impose mandatory conservation measures as the groundwater levels are continuing to fall. And the lack of rain is easy to spot at Morrill's Dairy Farm. The corn is now gone.
Corn crop It's the earliest we ever harvested, and that was because we had corn drying up.
The hay crop is also down about a third, according to Morrill. And while in some years they might have been looking forward to a fourth cutting,
We've had a lot of ground burn up. As far as any chance of any fourth cutting this year, zero.
Morrill says in most years they're able to sell extra silage, but not this year, as they need to hold on to what they have. And the bottom line?
But we're praying for water every day.
The state says what's needed to get out of this drought is for a couple of those tropical storms that have been hitting elsewhere in the country to make their way to New Hampshire. In Pennacook, Ray Brewer, WMUR News 9.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Vice President Mike Pence to hold rally at Laconia Airport next week. GOP source says VP visit is latest example of full effort by Trump campaign to win the Granite State in November. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9.
Protect your home and family for years to come with a new roof from Queen City Roofing. The entire crew takes pride in giving.
Turning now to Commitment 2020 this morning, Vice President Mike Pence is coming to New Hampshire for a rally. A GOP source tells WMUR's John DeStaso the event will be in Laconia next week. No firm dates or location have been announced at this point. We have more on the politics page of the WMUR website and mobile app.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Four from New Hampshire among those connected to Portsmouth Naval Shipyard to test positive for COVID-19. Maine Center for Disease Control and Prevention investigating. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9, Siobhan Lopez.
Protect your home and family for years to come with a new roof from Queen City Roofing. The entire crew takes pride in.
The first is an outbreak that Maine CDC opened an investigation into the Portsmouth Naval Shipyard, where there are a total right now of 18 cases, all of which are laboratory confirmed. Those cases are among individuals who hail from separate and different states. As of right now, 13 of those 18 cases are among Maine residents, 4 are among New Hampshire residents, and 1 of which is from a Massachusetts resident. Right now, one of the linkages that we have identified that may have generated this outbreak is a group of individuals who commuted together from Sanford to the Naval Shipyard. There was a commuting van that occurred where 9 individuals in that van seemed to have shared rides on a frequent basis. 7 of the 9 individuals who are part of that commuting caravan have tested positive. In addition, among the 18 cases, at least 2 of those 18 are not among employees of the shipyard, but rather close household contacts of employees of the shipyard. In addition, right now, there is 1 individual who is considered part of this outbreak, though this individual is not thought to work or have commuted with the other 17 individuals. As our investigation proceeds, and given that this is a worksite investigation, this is a common question that we often encounter. Whether an individual we detect is incidentally someone who is detected or part of the outbreak that we are seeing. As we conduct more testing in partnership with the Naval Shipyard, we'll have a better epidemiological picture of what's going on and what the patterns of transmission that may have existed that generated and led to this outbreak actually are.
Okay, and there you go on that video from the Maine CDC director. And now let's take a look at that U.S. stock market and see how your U.S. stock market closed for this Thursday evening. And here's a check of that U.S. stock market for all of you for this Thursday evening. Your Dow Jones Industrial Average closed in the red, went down. Your Nasdaq closed in the red, went down. S&P 500 closed in the red, went down. Gold closed in the green, went up. US 10-year closed in the red and closed flat. Oil closed in the red and went down. Euro/USD closed in the green and went up. And VIX closed in the green and it went up. And that is a look how your stock market closed for this Thursday evening. Dow closes more than 100 points lower. Apple and Microsoft drag down tech. Stocks fell in a volatile trading on Thursday aimed renewed pressure in shares of major tech companies. Conflicting messaging on the coronavirus vaccine front and uncertainty around further stimulus also weighed on the sentiment. Torrential rain, storm surge drowns homes. Let's take a listen to that video from ABC News.
We're going to head now to Ginger, who's tracking the very latest from hard-hit Mobile, Alabama, and another big question for so many, where this storm is headed next. Good morning, Ginger.
Good morning to you. It is all the way from Georgia to South Carolina, but I want you to first look behind me. That is a steeple on a church that was knocked over. We actually have drone video of what that looks like. This was from 82-mile-per-hour wind gusts that we had here in Mobile. We were on the back side of the storm. We also traveled down to Orange Beach, where they had the marinas wrecked. Those boats, as we were going on 161 there, right up against the wall, or right up against that road. Now, I want to also tell you that this storm has still dropped 7 inches of rain in Georgia alone. Flash flood warnings and emergencies happening as we speak. Atlanta will dry out through the morning, but you're going to say Athens or Anderson, South Carolina, you're getting into some of the heftiest stuff. The flash flood watches extend all the way to Richmond and Norfolk. So time-wise, I want to time it out for you. You could see 1 inch per hour rainfall rates with this. It moves through South Carolina today, western North Carolina by tonight. So the drive time tonight for Raleigh, for example, is going to be a problem. Norfolk starts to get it too. And don't forget, there's still spin in these storms. So you could see a tornado threat in any of these places. By Friday morning, it moves off into the coast, and we can say goodbye, finally, to Sally by the weekend. Guys.
It's going to take some time. Okay, Ginger, thanks very much. Well, hey there, GMA.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. And that does it for this evening edition of the Riley King Newscast, right here on the Riley King Network. Thank you for watching this Thursday evening edition. Have a great rest of your Thursday evening. I'll see you back here tomorrow for another newscast. I'll have a news report coming up in a little bit. Good night and goodbye.